So at first, when the report broke about Pete Nakos, and I see Nick, that's his dad's name, Nick. All right, Greedy Nick, as the Tennessee fans are starting to call him. He really set this thing off because I was like, yeah, Nick's on our side. Like, I rock with Nick. And then Nick goes radio silent. I go to sleep Friday night. I wake up, and next thing I know, I get a text from my friend. And next thing I know, it's sanity check. I'm ready to jump off a bridge. I'm looking for the nearest bridge in Columbus. I'm ready to fight someone. I'm mad. And so I go to Twitter to figure out what the heck's going on. Well, then I see the reports breaking that he skips practice. He skips practice. Who does that? Who does that to their team? I mean, you just went to war. And so then I'm like, you know what, whatever. He's sick. He's sick. We're just going to say he's sick. And then I see the report about Miles Kitselman. That goes crazy. I'm then starting to get mad, like Miles Kitselman saying words probably similar to what was said in that locker room. And all of a sudden, I'm like, you know what, fine. I go to sleep that night. I wake up. Coach Heupel is fighting demons on this press conference, trying not to say some terrible things about Nico, because let's be honest, Nico, you did something so dirty, something so slimy to say, oh, we're not leaving just to leave. And at first you feel bad for the kid, and then I see some bogus comment from Robert Griffin III, and he's talking about, well, coaches can leave at any time. Coaches leave at a cut of their salary. They have to pay the university back, Robert Griffin. Do you know how much Nico had to pay back to the University of Tennessee? Not a dime. Not a dime. He left. He took his millions and left. He's gone. He's gone. He's not coming back. And here's what's even crazier about the whole freaking thing is he didn't say a word, not to anyone. He didn't talk to Coach Heupel. He didn't say anything like, hey, Coach, sorry, blah, blah, blah. My mental's kind of checked because I was trending for 24 hours, which is what his camp tried to say, which, by the way, you're the starting quarterback of a Power 5 school. You're always trending. You were trending after the Arkansas game, and I don't see you skipping class after that. Oh, by the way, then Josh Pate goes on air and says he was trying to fight his contract while he was threatening to sit out the Ohio State game. The biggest game of your career, the biggest game you'll ever play in college football now, because here's the thing. The biggest game you're ever going to play is for the University of Tennessee, because you're going to Independence Community College. Because you're not going to go Power 5. You're not going to go Power 4. You're not going to go G5, because you are viewed as untouchable by Dion, Dan Lanning, Lincoln Riley, Bill Belichick. People are saying he's going to go to Tulane. Blue Bud Bias apparently DM'd Nick today saying, oh, where's he going to go? And he said Tulane. And, oh, guess what? Tulane just lost their quarterback because of money issues. No one's going to want to pay the price tag for this kid after a mediocre at best season for what he was recruited at. What he was recruited at is not 19 touchdowns where, oh, by the way, 10 of them came against, Kent State, Chattanooga, and Vandy. This is absolutely a terrible decision by Nico. It's going to tank his stock, because at the end of the day, when it comes to interview rooms for the NFL, they're going to have to ask the question, hey, what happened on April 13th, 12th, 11th, and 10th? What happened those days? And he's going to have to sit there and answer, well, Coach, I just got greedy. But you think it's going to sit well when NFL guys are trying to find people that are going to play for them, and you're sitting out over a paycheck? Over a paycheck that you didn't deserve based on what you did on the field. If it wasn't for Dylan Sampson, we would have been in the playoffs. We should have beaten Alabama by 3 scores, but guess what? You overthrow 2 deep balls, and we only win by 7. It's ridiculous. The state of college football is crumbling, but thankfully, because of Coach Heupel, it's somewhat saved because we finally had someone push back.
Well, I mean, I don't really know if there's anything else other to say than what you just said. I do think it's funny. Dr. Bob says he was counting the days backwards, which I've never heard anyone do, but that was pretty impressive. I do want to ask you this, Mort. Okay, before we get you out of here, you did just mention I think what a great comment was when he goes into what we all assume is going to be an NFL draft room a year from now. and it has these meetings and all this kind of stuff. Like, you can't run from that question, right? And I'll ask you this too: would you have rather seen? What was the worst part? The actual contract negotiation, or him not showing up? In your opinion?
I think the contract negotiation, I feel like, is fine because at the end of the day, people rework contracts all the time in the NFL. We see it happen with guys like Dak. We see it happen with guys like Justin Jefferson. Dr. Bob, stop talking about the trash can. We see it all the time. And the thing is that it's normal. Not showing up for your teammates because of money is, I think, where NFL teams will draw the line. Because that's where we see the likes of people like Le'Veon Bell, who flamed out in the NFL once he got paid. We also have Antonio Brown, who flamed out kind of sort of once he got paid. And it was all about money for these guys. And then once they finally flamed out, it was over. It was over for them because they made it all about money. They didn't make it about playing the game. Michael Strahan said when they won their second Super Bowl, people asked him, what was so impressive? How do you build a team like this? And he said, you don't find people that want to make millions and millions of dollars playing this game. You find people that want to play the game and win. At the end of the day, when you look at Nico, you have to ask yourself, is he playing this game to win, or is he playing this game so he can make him and his dad and his family a lot of money, and that's his primary motivation. This, holdout or whatever you want to call it, only hurts him because he didn't go to practice, because he gave up on the team, because he stepped away with no contact to anyone. No teammate has yet to hear from him still, to what I know. And I think that is overall the worst thing that they could do. He's not motivated to win. He's motivated by money, and that is going to hurt him in NFL draft rooms.
Before I get you out of here, I wanted to ask one more question before we end the show. So we talked about who was to blame, and I think you were here during that portion, and I think you had a comment on it. I think Nico is maybe I'm a little bit too harsh on Nico because I think when you're paid that amount of money, you're responsible for who you surround yourself with, regardless if it's a parent, it's an agent. If you're making that type of money, then you're responsible. Will said that maybe it's also the NCAA's fault. It's as a whole. Where do you think? Where do you think the blame lies? And Ralph's, by the way, said split down the middle. What would you kind of take away from this in terms of who's to blame for this specific problem?
So I think initial reactions, I think the finger is pointed to Nico and his dad. And I'm still pointing the finger there. I'm still mad about it. I still think that if you wear the power tee, that you are beyond, money, that you're motivated. You slap a sign every day in practice before a game. It says you'll give your all for the state of Tennessee. But it wasn't his all, because what he was giving his all for was, once again, a paycheck. But also, if we look at it, I said this in the comments, in 2016, when they knew this was coming, they saw it coming down the tracks, and they sat on their hands and didn't do anything about it, just as the way they saw they saw the transfer portal coming down the tracks, and they sat on their hands. And now the NCAA is bound and they can't fight a battle to make this fair for universities, for coaches, for teams, because the player holds so much power. The individual holds so much power of their name, image, and likeness. And so that means that it's just unfair, and they're legally going to have a hard time fighting a battle to legislate NIL and the transfer portal from here on out. It's going to be an uphill climb for the NCAA. I think the finger goes both ways, but at the end of the day, 10 years from now, our finger's going to be at the NCAA for all of this.
That's Mort. We appreciate you calling in, brother. Thanks so much.